This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go.
Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Break the Bell Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is that time again that it's your weekend, which comes at unusual hours sometimes. Like, this is later than typical for a Sunday night weekend wrap-up episode, but I kind of got Bill called in tonight, and he called in sick or something. No, he was having family issues that he's addressing tonight. So Bill keeps, even though Bill's always late and always showing up at the last minute, for some reason he keeps me timely. So when I'm working with Bill, I do things in a more timely manner. When Bill's not here, I just procrastinate and put it off until 8:30 at night on a Sunday night, waiting as long as possible, as late as possible, to get this show put out and still be considered the weekend. I guess if I pushed it a couple more hours, you couldn't really consider it the weekend wrap up, because then it would be Monday morning. But I'm still doing good. It's only 8:30. This one may or may not be a shorter episode because Bill's not here to bounce ideas off of, and I don't know, it's been a busy weekend for me, just like it has been for probably all of you guys. It's nearing the end of the summertime. It's one of the last couple weekends of the summer. September starts in like 3 days, and I don't know, just finishing up some last-minute summer stuff, getting things out of the way, but still got time for all you beautiful people out there. As always, we do this live. We started doing the weekend wrap-up live earlier this year. I think it was this year or last year. I don't know. And we do our main show live because we enjoy audience participation. So if you're listening to this on the podcast platforms in the future, or watching it on YouTube or something in the future and not live, just know that we do this live several times a week. We do our main show Monday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and the weekend wrap-up we do live usually Sunday night, usually roughly around like 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6, 7 o'clock, somewhere in there, or like tonight, 8:30, just whenever we kind of feel like it and get our shit together and get around to doing this thing. So we're here, though. I'm here, at least. Bill will be back tomorrow night for that main episode, as well as my intention is to have on a longtime guest of the show. Remzo Martinez is coming on our show tomorrow night to discuss how to make money in such a cruel economic times that we're having now. And we're going to probably discuss the student loan situation that's going on, with the president declaring that he's going to forgive up to like $20,000 of student debt. So gonna enjoy having Remzo on. It's been a while. He hasn't really been on the show since our Christmas episode, which, holy shit, it's been like 9 months already since our annual Christmas extravaganza. So I almost got to start planning my next one, because that's coming up in just a couple months here. So look forward to that. Every year for the last 2 years, I guess it's annual now, we do a Christmas episode where the last couple of years we've had my brother Dan Smotz of the System Is Down podcast and Remzo Martinez on to just celebrate Christmas in true Break the Bell style, and it gets pretty weird sometimes. So I'm looking forward to that, but all that, not really announcing that now because it's, again, not September yet. But all that to say, haven't had Remzo on the show since last Christmas, so it's going to be fun to have him on. He's been on 4 or 5 times on the show, and he's always got great things to talk about. So he's a make money expert from what I've heard. So it'll be interesting to hear that kind of angle, like how to provide and take care of yourself during a time where the country's finances and inflation is at an all-time shit show. We've got trillions of dollars just being signed into law, just printed. The freaking money machine is just going burr constantly. So it'll be interesting to get him on the show. So definitely show up for that show. Like I said, that'll be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So Central Standard Time. So that'll be fun to get Remzo on the show. Got some news to talk about, but before I do, I got to do my announcements first and foremost. We've got, obviously, our sponsor, that is Run Your Mouth Coffee, the official coffee of the Break the Bell podcast. They support free speech. They support our right to be able to sit here multiple times a week now and just completely run our mouth and talk shit without fear of getting ostracized from civilization, without fear of getting censored or what have you. They make a delicious cup of coffee and they support free speech. So there's no better combination than good coffee and free speech and your individual liberties. So check them out at rymcoffee.com. Tell them we sent you by using the promo code BREAKTHEBELL, and you'll get 10% off your purchase plus free shipping, and that's a freaking awesome deal. Yeah, support companies that support you, that support your rights, like Run Your Mouth Coffee. You all may have heard me and my brother started a new morning program, a morning news, like little 20, 30-minute segment called Two Scoops, which is where we come on and Tuesday and Thursday mornings live and just give you the shittiest stories that we can possibly think of. We're bouncing them off of each other. We're collaborating. It's been a while since me and him did anything like join forces together, because we're usually butting heads back and forth, talking shit about each other's shows. So we just figured we would talk shit about each other's shows on each other's show together. So that's Two Scoops morning news. It's 7 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. If we feel like it, we got to say that because sometimes we don't feel like it. So sometimes we just might not show up. So Tuesday mornings is live on his channel, his YouTube channel on the System Is Down podcast. And then Thursday morning is live on our channel on the Break the Bell podcast, obviously. So check that out. It's a fun time. It's short form for all you people that are too ADD to sit through a 2-hour show with us. You ask for something shorter, we gave you something shorter. So check that out. That's Two Scoops Morning News. We got merch for sale at breakthebell.com or breakthebellpod.com, I'm sorry, or breakthebell.bigcartel.com. We've got a couple different designs here. We've got the infamous I Will Not Eat Your Bugs t-shirt, which is really says a lot in today's age where they're just cramming down your face like cockroach milk and cricket burgers and stuff like that. That is the plan for you, is that you stop eating meat and start eating more bugs. And we want to stand up and say, we're not going to eat your fucking bugs. And so we're doing so by forming the Anti-Cricket Brigade, which you can join by purchasing this t-shirt at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. We also have this We Are Not Your Pawn shirt, which is a bunch of, it's a chessboard, but none of them are pawns. They're all kings and queens, and you see like the elite king like knocked down in the center. It's a badass design, I think. Yeah, it explains itself pretty much. We also have coffee mugs. We have our official Break the Bell logo t-shirts, all kinds of stuff there. So that's breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Check it out. Support us a little bit more by purchasing our shit. Otherwise, you can also support us by going to patreon.com/breakthebell and sign up for any of the levels, and you can help support us, get access to bonus content, access to merch options, and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's the housework I got to do, I guess, before we get into the show. It's really hard to do a solo show without Bill because you got to listen to me drink the Coors Light, because usually I do it while he's talking. I don't have that option, so I will take dramatic pauses to sip on my beer. So you just got to deal with it. Let's get into this weekly dose of news. This weekend wrap-up is usually the news that we can't get to in our main episode, but it's still stuff that we want to talk about or don't want to talk about, but should talk about. The first one I want to talk about is Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg went on the Joe Rogan show, podcast, whatever they call it. Joe Rogan Experience, something like that. I don't know. And he's claiming that, or admitting or whatever, he helped suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story for the FBI. Not just for himself, not to be like, wow, guys, this seems like a really kind of politicized thing, very polarizing thing, so we've got to like tamper down on this. No, the FBI reached out to Mark Zuckerberg and said, or not to Mark Zuckerberg personally, I'm guessing, but to Facebook, Meta, whoever, and said, guys, this is bad. You got to squash this. As well as Twitter, I'm pretty sure, too, because according to Mark Zuckerberg, Twitter just flat out censored it and was like, nope, no stories about this Hunter Biden laptop during the 2020 election because this could influence elections. This could be dangerous, and this could possibly get Donald Trump reelected if we find out that that this laptop from hell, this Hunter Biden laptop, is actually a thing, and Hunter Biden was doing crack cocaine and off a stripper's ass. I don't know what he's doing, but it was a bunch of shady shit. Oh yeah, and don't forget the fact of the big guy doing business with like Chinese and the Chinese Communist Party companies and things like that. But we don't want that to go into the election cycle because that could possibly influence an election. So instead, we're going to influence election by suppressing this story from social media because voters shouldn't be allowed to make decisions on their own. So this is from ZeroHedge.com. Says the FBI has responded to an explosive claim by Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg that Facebook algorithmically censored references to Hunter Biden's laptop ahead of the 2020 election after receiving a warning from the agency about Russian propaganda. Now we all know now that this was not at all Russian propaganda, that this was all legit. I mean, it might have been somehow conveniently dropped in the lap of Rudy Giuliani, but we all know that this is a pretty legit laptop. These claims, this Russian propaganda, actually is a thing, and we know that, and we know it's true, and we know that it's been not secretly, but quietly put back into the news to claim that yes, this was true, but we're not going to really make a big deal about this now because it's so far in the past. But at the time, the FBI agency told Mark Zuckerberg to kind of keep this quiet because this is Russian propaganda, obviously. Shit, why isn't this there? Now you can see the article. It says Zuckerberg said on August 25th episode of the Joe Rogan Experience that Facebook actively reduced the reach of social media posts discussing Hunter Biden's laptop in response to an advisory from the FBI to some Facebook staffers to be on guard for Russian disinformation ahead of the presidential election. The background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to some folks on our team and were like, hey, just so you know, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump similar to that, so just be vigilant. So basically the FBI is like, do you remember all that quote-unquote Russian propaganda that came out in 2016 about the Hillary Clinton email server scandal that came to be a real thing? Yeah, we don't want that to happen again in this election, so there's about to be something similar to this, which we said at the time. It's like, wow, this Hunter Biden email thing seems vaguely familiar to the Hillary Clinton email thing that happened in the 2016 election. It's like, why can't these fucking people, like, do a better job at keeping their email a little better under wraps? But basically, FBI is just like, yeah, this whole Russian hoax thing with the Hillary Clinton thing that we know wasn't a Russian hoax, that's about to happen again, and it's obviously going to be a Russian hoax when it's not really a Russian hoax. It says clips featuring Zuckerberg's response to Rogan quickly went viral, prompting a flurry of takes critical of the FBI, with some accusing the agency of engaging in election interference. So again, like I was saying, in order to prevent Russian election interference, we're going to interfere with the election ourselves, just in case. So it says, Representative Andrew Clyde of Georgia said in a statement, "This isn't just insane, it's election interference," while calling on Zuckerberg to testify before Congress about the FBI's attempts to circumvent the First Amendment. A similarly scathing take was expressed by Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio. He says the same FBI who lied about Russian collusion and raided President Trump's home asked Facebook to manipulate its feed to bury the Hunter Biden story. Says as the controversy swirled, the FBI issued a statement to media outlets on Friday saying that its warning to Facebook was of general nature and did not include a call to action. The FBI said routinely notifies U.S. private sector entities, wow, I can't read tonight, including social media providers of potential threat information so that they can decide how to better defend against threats, and that the agency has provided companies with foreign threat indicators to help them protect their platforms and customers from abuse by foreign malign influence actors. The FBI added that it cannot ask or direct companies to take action on information received. So basically, this comes out, and Zuckerberg's probably like put on notice for the things that he's saying here. But basically, the Biden story was about to drop, or the Hunter Biden laptop story. And the FBI goes to Facebook, Twitter, whoever, and it's like, hey, remember that propaganda? It's about to happen again. But they don't tell them, they don't direct them, hey, squash this information. But it makes you wonder, because we know that Facebook's kind of in bed with the government and they're doing their bidding constantly. There's got to be some financial transaction. There's got to be some financial benefit for Facebook to continue to do the bidding of the federal government. That, or Mark Zuckerberg just is really a robot that was programmed by a NASA Operation Paperclip type scientist, that he's actually a federal government robot, and he's running this private entity known as Facebook that just happens to do the bidding of the federal government because he was programmed, obviously, to not act in disfavor of the federal government. It's really funny. I'm gonna just show a brief clip of this Joe Rogan little interview with Zuckerberg, because I would swear just watching his everything about Mark Zuckerberg, I still swear he is AI. He's some form of AI. He's not a real human being. Joe Rogan, I don't know how much he paid to get the Zuckerberg AI on his show, but here it is.
A lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
Yeah, we had that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of
move hands like normal human being.
So just be vigilant. So our protocol is different from Twitter's. What Twitter did is they said you can't share this at all. We didn't do that. What we do is
So what he goes on to say here, and he justifies what he does as better than Twitter, because they didn't just go out and flat out say, hey, you can't share this around. You can share this all you want. We're just not going to make it visible to people. So go ahead and fucking share it all you want. We're just going to ghost it. So it's not our algorithms are going to basically push it to the bottom. So it's not seen on anybody's feed. It's not seen on anybody's posts or anything. It's just not there. We're not gonna ban you. We're not gonna say like openly say this, because people like us might come out and be like, hey, that's a little bit of maybe bias towards a freaking election, so maybe you shouldn't be doing this. No, instead of that, so they don't get the pushback at the front end, they just say, yeah, go ahead and fucking post it. Just let's see if it actually comes to light. Like, let's see if this information actually spreads to anybody else. There's no way it's going to get viral because our algorithms completely squash it. But yeah, by all means, go ahead and use your quote-unquote free speech. I mean, we're going to use our freedom to just not give any access to this. So they're so much better than Twitter, obviously, because they allowed you to post it, but they chose not to allow it to be seen. So I don't know. I don't know what you think about this. I mean, it's no surprise. It's not shocking that the FBI came to Facebook and was like, maybe this story is just Russian propaganda and you shouldn't allow. I mean, it's not surprising when we see everything else that goes on in the election, but it's just so like to use a social media giant to basically steer what is perceived by the general public. Like, maybe that would be a deciding factor in somebody's vote. If they find out that Hunter Biden was doing shady dealings with the Chinese and perhaps this presidential candidate who was vice president at the time, perhaps he was in on it too and was getting a cut out of this, maybe that would persuade somebody that was on the fence to not freaking vote for Joe Biden. So to not allow that information to get public and to be guided by the FBI to not allow this to get public, I mean, that seems a little bit one-sided. But we know the FBI was super one-sided against Donald Trump from the start, because we had, who is the FBI agent that I got him in the news here. What's his name? Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok was the one that during the 2016 election, his text came out where he was emailing or texting that one chick, and he was like, we got to do everything we can to not let this guy be in office. Everything as possible. So again, it's not surprising that the FBI would come out during the 2020 election and be like, don't let this information move anywhere because this could influence an election. So we need to influence the election so it doesn't get influenced against us. So like I said, Peter Strzok is also back in the news. Speaking of 2020 elections or Donald Trump or whatever, I don't know how we're connecting it, but Peter Strzok's in the news because, as we know, obviously Mar-a-lago got raided a couple weeks ago. And there's a whole bunch of outrage about that because of illegal search warrants and how the Department of Justice is like weaponizing against political opponents and stuff. And I can see how this could potentially be an issue and how they're still on this witch hunt against Donald Trump. Well, apparently, according to Peter Strzok, there was so much evidence just strewn about the Mar-a-Lago residence that a Russian infiltrator could possibly get, if they were to infiltrate the Mar-a-Lago residence, which apparently, according to Peter Strzok, they wanted to, or they even tried to infiltrate the Mar-a-Lago residence. Like how does that happen? Like, Donald Trump's just got all these documents just thrown all over the residence, and some Russian spy comes in like dressed as a manservant or something, or a masseuse, a massage boy, a pool boy, I don't know. And then he's just like, ooh, here's some documentation on the nuclear weapons. I have a terrible Russian accent. I'm sorry. And he just happens to find it all over the house. First of all, how would he know that the documents are just thrown all over the house? Second of all, I mean, this isn't just a freaking like 80s spy movie. I don't see that happening. Because this says Russia absolutely tried to infiltrate the Mar-a-Lago, according to former FBI official Peter Strzok. So let me pull this one up. This is from Newsweek. So this is why it was absolutely 100% necessary to raid his residence there. Even if it does come, we do come to find out, hey, this whole freaking search warrant was all bullshit. If you come out with info like this and find out that all these papers were just thrown all over the place, all these top secret documents just willy-nilly all over the coffee table and under his sex lounge and stuff like that, then we can look back and be like, see, we it was right for us to go into there, even if we did it illegally. Could you imagine if we hadn't gone into there? Says former FBI official Peter Strzok said in an interview Sunday that foreign intelligence services in countries including Russia have been absolutely interested in gaining access to former President Donald Trump's Florida property, Mar-a-Lago. Based on what? Based on what evidence? You got anything to back this up? Yes, you are the FBI. You redact everything that you do. I get that. But do you have any clear evidence to back this up that says, Russian spies were trying to infiltrate his residence? Says Strzok's comments came after the FBI raided the property earlier this month as part of an investigation into whether Trump potentially mishandled classified information that he took with him after he left the White House last year. A search warrant revealed that agents seized items including top-secret documents from the property on August 8th. During the interview, host Katie Fang asked Strzok if he believes it's possible that Russians would have been interested in and possibly tried to infiltrate Mar-a-Lago. Well, Katie, absolutely the Russians, but not just the Russians. Any competent foreign intelligence service, whether that's those belonging to China, to Iran, to Cuba, and certainly including the Russians, are all interested in gaining access to Mar-a-Lago, Strzok responded. Again, based on what? Are you seeing this chatter on the airwaves of like, oh yes, let's collaborate, let's get the pool boy and the massage guy in to steal these documents? So Strzok added, what's especially concerning right now is some of the information that's coming out about the absolute lack of any sort of control or memorialization of who had access to Mar-a-Lago at any given time, particularly in context of the fact that it appears classified documents were strewn all over the facility. I've got to think that Donald freaking Trump has maids and house cleaners out the ass, and I can't imagine he's just like romping naked with his hookers all over these freaking classified documents the way they make it seem like they're just thrown all over the place. Strzok was fired from the FBI after text messages from 2016 were released revealing anti-Trump remarks between himself and FBI lawyer Lisa Page. Lisa Page, there you go, that's who it was. He has remained a critic of former president and published a book in 2020 titled Compromised, Counterintelligence and the Threat of Donald J. Trump. During his interview, Strzok said that regardless of the knowledge that classified documents were there, Russian intelligence services are going to have been trying to gain access to Mar-a-Lago. So I don't understand that that foreign intelligence are going to have been trying. So he's speculating. He's just speculating based on what we know of foreign intelligence, and based on every spy novel I've read and every 1980s Russian spy movie and television drama, made-for-TV drama, based on what we know of Russian spies, you gotta think that they're going to have been trying to access Mar-a-Lago, even if they didn't know classified documents were there. Of course they're going to try to infiltrate Mar-a-Lago. Why wouldn't they? And that's absolutely the sort of thing that the U.S. intelligence community and the FBI in particular are going to be concerned about, trying to establish who had access to the grounds, who had access to that storage area. Wait, it's a storage area now. It's not just strewn about the residence. It's a fucking storage area where there might have been boxes stacked. And do you think Donald Trump actually put those boxes there themselves? Do you think that guy has lifted a box in his fucking life? No, he hasn't. He probably didn't even know what documents were taken there. Says, and what they need to do is mitigate any sort of damage that might have occurred. I don't know. I don't know what you think. Sure, maybe Donald Trump should be in jail, but for this, no, probably not. I don't know. Maybe for doing crack cocaine with Hunter Biden somewhere, probably, but this is fucking stupid. This is a witch hunt. And to say that Hillary Clinton was just like the same people that pretty much announced that Hillary Clinton was just, just kind of ignorant bliss in her mishandling of classified information. But to say, but Russian infiltrators, of course, Russian infiltrators would have wanted to gain access. You don't think Russian infiltrators would have wanted to gain access to Hillary Clinton's private email server that was just sitting in like a fucking closet in her private residence? You don't think that the same Russian infiltrators might want access to the information she has? Yeah, there's a good chance of it. Let's move on. I mean, it's might as well segue. We're talking about Hillary Clinton. There's never a boring week when Hillary Clinton makes the headlines. And it's just going to be so much less boring now because Hillary and Chelsea are starting a TV show. Of all the things, I mean, shit, I think Michelle Obama is starting a podcast. I mean, it's just like, of all the things people want to see, I bet you this Hillary and Chelsea TV series is what the market was asking for. This is like, I don't know. This is like government mismanagement as fine. This is like something you find on government-sponsored media like Iowa Public or like National Public, like NPR, or like on PBS or something. It's like, no, we know the people don't want this, but the people need this. So we're gonna smush this bullshit in their face because we don't get enough Hillary Clinton in our face anymore. So let's make a TV show. Let's make her look relevant. I mean, maybe this is her build up to actually running in 2024. Hey, let's make Hillary Clinton look relevant and look young and spry on this Gutsy TV show, which is titled Gutsy, I'm pretty sure. This is from Yahoo News. It says, a gutsy move. Hillary and Chelsea get real on their new TV series. I mean, this is something that if I ate something bad for dinner and I really wanted to make myself throw up, I guess I'd probably put this show on. It says it's almost impossible to go into an interview with Hillary and Chelsea Clinton without some preconceptions. Yeah, that they're all fucking crooks and murderers. That's the preconception that I get. That Chelsea's probably following the footsteps of her mother, and she's probably having people like her, all her best friends, murdered too. It says they have, after all, been on the global stage for better part of 4 decades, with scenes from their public lives as familiar, if not mundane, as our own. A preteen Chelsea on her father Bill's campaign trail. The presidential family walking hand in hand on the White House lawn. The post-Lewinsky scandal. Hillary's emotional concession speech after the 2016 election. After she threw a chair through a wall or something. So it's a bit surreal to sit waiting for the Clinton women to join a Zoom chat about their new Apple TV Plus show, Gutsy. So much so, when their polished, smiling image appears on the screen, it initially looks like a promotional image, a digital placeholder to contemplate until the pair signs on. That is until Hillary shifts and bellows, "Hello!" God, that would make my freaking hair stand on end. Like, whoever would want to do a Zoom chat with Hillary Clinton, and the fact that they describe her salutations as bellowing, I mean, I can just that just defines everything about Hillary Clinton. It says it's a recurring theme in their 8-part docuseries. What, bellowing? Bellowing's a recurring theme? or reminds us of the actual person behind the public persona. Yeah, she's loud and obnoxious and condescending, and she's just a cold bitch. Says the docuseries, 8-part docuseries, where the Clintons sit down with prominent female stars, activists, and community leaders to talk about how they're making positive change in the world and killing babies in brown countries and making sure all political dissent is dead, but making positive change in the world. But also pulls back the curtain on 2 very famous, very private, and very, yes, gutsy women. That was the big goal. Well, I would hope that was the goal, considering the name of your show is Gutsy, to portray them as gutsy women themselves. What has Chelsea Clinton done that is so gutsy? That's what I would like. That's what I want to watch the show for. Because Chelsea is such a forgettable person that I mean, what's her name? Trump. Ivanka Trump. Ivanka Trump is more in the spotlight than Chelsea Clinton ever had been after Bill Clinton freaking left office. Goes on to say, we think we know Hillary and Chelsea, but it was such a lovely surprise to find out they are very funny and warm and up for anything. I would love to see the funny and warm side of Hillary Clinton, because it's all a fucking act. It's like everything, her whole persona is just an act. Well, like, I don't think, when it comes to people that have been in political office for their entire fucking lives, for what, 40 years or whatever, they're basically their entire lives. When you're putting on a political face your entire life, it's hard, like impossible to shut that political, like that fakeness off. And it probably gets to the point where you don't even know who you are anymore. And I mean, you basically sold your soul to every form of the devil as possible to get to where you are getting. And that's not just the Clintons. I'm sure that is every other freaking politician out there. That once you get to a certain point, after doing this for so long, it's like, that's what you are now. There is no funny, warm, loving side anymore. That's all a political move. Like, the funny is a political strategy. The warm, oh yeah, that's a political strategy to market to like the women and that want to view her as more of like a homey person, like a family-oriented Hillary Clinton. Yeah, it's a political ploy. It's to make you feel like they are something that you want them to be. That's what politics are, is making people think that you are their person. So again, the only reason I think they're doing this damn show that's going to be just a large dose of vomit in your face is if either A, Hillary, or B, Chelsea, or God forbid, the two of them are planning some sort of political move in the future, because that's what they do. The only reason they come out of the woodwork is to make you think that they're something that you want them to be, so you might favor them and vote for them or something. I don't know. They want something from you. That's the only reason they're coming out with this. And Apple Plus, good God bless their soul, if they think that this is a move that's going to make them money. Like, first of all, who actually subscribes to Apple Plus anyway? Over all the other ones, or Apple TV Plus, whatever. I subscribed to it once just to get the Charlie Brown's Christmas special, because that was the only thing you could find it on. And as soon as Christmas was over, I canceled that fucking subscription because there's literally nothing else on it. And the fact that they're like, I think what the people want is Hillary and Chelsea Clinton on a TV series, an 8-part TV series. 8 parts. You think this makes money? Is it possible? Is there a chance this is going to make money for Apple TV Plus? I really don't see that happening. Got a few more things to cover in the next 20 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes. I don't know. Like I said, I might get out of here early too. Let's see. This one was interesting to me. Apparently, This is in California. Apparently, somewhere in California, there was a straight pride march. You know, in response to all the gay pride marches. I mean, I don't see a problem. I really don't see a problem with this. Here's the problem I have. Is if, like, say they are blatantly homophobic. Let's say they are blatantly racist, because this group of people says, because this is from New York Post, it says, a march celebrating straight pride outside of an abortion clinic in California devolved into violence as participants clashed with more than 200 pro-LGBTQ and pro-choice counter-protesters. The National Straight Pride Coalition, I did not know this was a thing. There is a coalition known as the National Straight Pride Coalition. It was they organized the event, held for the 4th consecutive year in Modesto on Saturday, described its cause as backing heterosexuality, the natural nuclear family, Western civilization, Caucasians, Christianity, and nationalism. So right off the bat, first of all, I don't think this is fucking real. I think this is probably some sort of organization, like some sort of like fake organization that is made. Because who comes out? I mean, I guess I could possibly see this, but none of that actually is being bigoted. None of that is any sort of homophobia. I mean, in itself, it's not any sort of racism. To be pro my views on sexuality, or my views on the Western civilization, or my views that marriage equals a man and a wife married, like the nuclear family, a husband and a wife and a kid, or even to be pro my race. I mean, every other race can be pro my race. But to say you're pro-Caucasian obviously has white supremacist connotations. And I don't see any organization be like, we're pro-nationalism. Unless they're like straight up Nazis, which that's what it sounds like they're trying to make this out to be. But I don't know, maybe it's real, maybe it's not real. Anyway, even if, God forbid, even if they are straight up racist, homophobic bigots, do you know what would do you more freaking good? Is to not counter-protest them. To not come out with wrapped in your rainbow flags. That's not me being homophobic. That's actually what happened. Even if these are racist, bigoted, Nazi fascists, wouldn't it do more good to not show up in counter-protest? Because nobody shows up, nobody gives them attention. They're just out there making a bunch of fucking noise. Who cares? They're just looking like idiots themselves. When you come out draped in your rainbow flag and have violent clashes with these people, first of all, that gives them national publicity, as you see here with the New York Post reporting on it. Now, other people that are like, I'm pro-Caucasian, I'm pro-nuclear family, maybe I'm going to start my protest now. No, you just don't, if you don't agree with it, don't give them credit. Just let them do their thing, and they'll figure out that they're being dumbasses and walk away. On the other hand, why are we all so pissed off at people that are demonstrating in, I don't know, whatever, even if it's like rude behavior? I don't know that I don't know who started the violence here. Maybe I should read the rest of the freaking the article. But why are we so surprised that this right organization is out protesting their morals and their beliefs and stuff, when the people on the left have been doing it for fucking years? I mean, as soon as the Roe v. Wade thing came out, it's just like flood in the streets. This is against our rights. This is this and this is that, and my body, my choice and stuff. But then somebody on the other side comes out, it's like, fuck abortion, fuck homosexuality. We don't support that. It's just like, but we all act shocked. It's like, oh my God, these people are coming out and protesting their beliefs and stuff. We should do something about that. Maybe we should pick up our signs that say fascists not welcome here, and maybe they'll stop. Maybe that'll change their mind. If we all pick up a bunch of signs and scream at each other, maybe people actually change their mind. I mean, that makes the most sense. Boys, I have no verification that he was a Proud Boy, but one of the quote-unquote Proud Boys decided to try to walk past the cops that were separating them. And the counter-protesters, the peaceful ones, started throwing things at this guy. Now, get this. This one is the most... This one's interesting. It says a firecracker reportedly went off setting fire to a bush near the Clinton. I mean, I guess it is California. I was going to say that sounds weird. Like one firecracker goes off and a whole bush catches on fire. First of all, they're trying to make this sound way more dramatic than it was. Like fires set ablaze to a nearby bush when a small munitions explosive went off during filling the scene with smoke. A firecracker went off and a bush kind of caught on fire and there was a little bit of smoke. This doesn't even have to be in the article at all. I guess you could call that explosives. I guess you could call that setting ablaze to nearby scenery. I don't know, but I feel like this is a little bit stretching. The Modesto Police Department warned on Facebook around 11:17 a.m. local time that there was an unlawful assembly of demonstrators along McHenry Avenue and warned people to stand clear of the area. Well, by doing so, more people probably came out. They're like, we're going to go get those guys, those bigots, those Nazis, those Nazis. Police officers in tactical gear arrived in the assembly to disperse the crowd and clashed with the counter-protesters, firing pepper balls and beanbags. We have two armies to go up against when we stand for our rights. We have to deal with the cops attacking us, and we're about to get a second wave of right-wing extremists, said a counter-protester in Sacramento. All right, so who's the ones attacking here? They were out protesting. And you all showed up as counter-protesters to stop their right to free speech, their right to stand out there and protest. You showed up, and who started the chucking water bottles and shit? It sounds like the counter-protesters. It says, we are fearful of them attacking us as well. So we got to worry about the cops attacking us. We got to worry about the right-wing extremists attacking us. You're the fucking ones that showed up to counter this thing. If you don't want to be attacked by these guys, maybe don't show up and try to stop their freaking protests in the first place. Again, let them do their thing, then they'll go home, and then you can go about doing your whatever it is you want to do. It says 3 people were arrested for failure to disperse, including 1 counter-protester and 2 people affiliated with the Straight Pride rally. Police Department spokesperson Sharon Bear said, the demonstration appeared to be over by 1 p.m. Wow, that was short-lived. That was such a clash. A violent mob dispersed by 1 p.m. local time. Straight Pride March, organized by the same group last year, similarly ended in violence. At that event, members of the Proud Boys and other supporters of the group once again clashed with counter-protesters outside the Modesto Planned Parenthood after about an hour of mostly avoiding each other. It doesn't really go into details on that one. It just says there was violence. Again, describe the violence, because it sounds like the people that were being violent in this one were the counter-protesters. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I feel like if it's allowed for one side to go out and protest outside of Planned Parenthood or outside churches or outside of pregnancy clinics, it should be allowed, and it is allowed, for the other side to come out, whether their beliefs are right, wrong. That's not what's up for debate here. The fact is, they have the right to go outside Planned Parenthood and protest as well. I don't know. Maybe they are racists. Maybe they are bigots and homophobic. If they're not causing violence, I mean, if they're instigating, which maybe, I mean, there's a good chance they were. I don't know. Yeah, that's probably fucking stupid, but it's as stupid for the counter protesters to come out and get in their face and be like, "Oh, you guys are a bunch of fucking Nazis. Go home." Moving on. NASA is sending people back to the moon. I don't know if I believe this. Because apparently, apparently, because they've been talking about sending people to Mars for, I don't know, a couple of years now. But apparently, before we decide that we want to land people on Mars, maybe we should try to put people back on the moon again. Because we haven't been able to do that in like 40 years, 50 years, since the 70s. I don't know. The 70s seems like, to say the 70s is 50 years ago is kind of insane to me, but 50 years, you know, maybe we are getting a little too ambitious by saying, you know what, just fuck the moon, let's go straight for Mars. So NASA's like, maybe we should try the moon again. Or maybe we should try it a first time, depending on your views of the moon landing. Maybe we should try to land on the moon before we shoot such an ambitious goal as going to Mars and having, like, permanent dwellings on Mars. Let's not just go straight for that. Let's try to do maybe temporary dwellings on the moon. I don't know. Depending on your views of NASA, this is most likely just a money funnel, as NASA has been for the last 60 years. They're probably not putting anybody on the moon or on Mars or anything. They're probably just funneling your money, and they're going to take really cool CGI pictures and send them back to you. So this is going on tomorrow. This is why I want to talk about this, is because this launch to the moon is happening tomorrow morning. It says how and when to watch NASA's giant rocket launch to the moon. This is from the New York Times. Here's what you need to know about Artemis 1 and the launch of the Space Launch System and Orion capsule. Before NASA can send astronauts back to the moon, it needs a successful flight test of the Space Launch System, a giant rocket built for the agency with lunar missions in mind. So before we send them to Mars, we got to send people to the moon. Before we send people to the moon, we got to make sure we can send things to space. So it's almost like we're reinventing the wheel again. It says on Monday, we'll get to see the first attempt at launching this massive rocket to orbit, this time with no astronauts aboard the Orion capsule, or Orion. Is it Orion or Orion? It says, here's what you need to know about the mission, Artemis 1. The launch is scheduled for 8:33 a.m. Why not 8:30? Why 8:33 a.m.? Like what? Never mind. Eastern time, but in case of unfavorable weather or technical glitches, the liftoff can be pushed back as much as 2 hours or 10:33 a.m., because that makes sense. I wonder if they start the launch sequence right at 8:30 and it takes 3 minutes. I don't know. That just seems kind of crazy. That'd be like me starting this show at like 7:17. NASA Television's online coverage of Artemis 1 launch begins at midnight at the start of Monday as the process of filling the rocket's giant propellant tanks starts. The agency's full coverage will begin at 6:30 a.m. on Monday. Coverage in Spanish will begin at 7:30 a.m. I'm sorry for all you Spanish-speaking people out there, but you will miss out on a critical hour of coverage of the space agency, of the coverage of the launch. Forecasts give an 80% chance of favorable weather at the beginning of the launch window, but conditions are expected to worsen somewhat after the next 2 hours, falling to a 60% chance of favorable weather, so they need to get it out early. 3 lightning strikes at the launch pad this weekend didn't cause any problems. Well, that is good to know. If Artemis 1 gets off the ground, coverage will continue for about 2 hours after liftoff, through what is known as the Translunar Injection Engine firing to push the Orion spacecraft out of low orbit on a trajectory to the moon. Now, we haven't had anything out of low orbit besides, I don't know, Elon Musk's car and like the Mars rover thing. We don't send space shuttles out of low orbit too often anymore. It's almost like it's not possible. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. Or we'll see a good CGI rendition of it. If the launch is postponed, NASA has backup opportunities scheduled for September 2nd or the 5th. It says, what are the Space Launch System and Orion? For astronauts to get to the moon, they need a big rocket. No shit. And the Space Launch System is that rocket. The most powerful one since Saturn V took NASA astronauts to the moon in the 60s and 70s. The one waiting on the pad to launch Monday is 322 feet high and will weigh 5.5 million pounds when filled with propellants. The rocket has some visual similarities to the retired space shuttles. This is by design. Now get this. To simplify development of its new moon rocket, NASA reused much of the 1970s space shuttle technology. So, the advancements in technology, like we've talked about a little bit here and there about how I doubt we went to the moon at least the first time. But it's a known fact, I think, that the amount of computing abilities in the very first shuttles to the moon, or spacecraft to the moon, had less computing capability than like a cell phone, or I think it was even then like a Game Boy. I don't remember. It was just definitely less than your cell phone computing abilities. So clearly technology has come a long way since the 1970s. I mean, we have fucking like phones that do more than a whole room filled with computer system from the 70s. We are doing this thing where we are supposedly sending people on this really unsafe mission, supposedly, to the moon, but we are going to reuse a lot of the technology that came from the 1970s, 50 fucking year old technology to send people to the moon. That something is not quite right there. Either A, they're not telling us something, or B, they're really fucking bad at their jobs, because I would think over the last 50 years they would have come up with some new technology. Like there shouldn't be reusing any 50-year-old technology to send people to the moon right now. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. The Space Launch System's cargo on Monday is Orion, a capsule that is designed for trips of multiple weeks beyond low Earth orbit. It will be uncrewed for this flight, but can carry 4 astronauts. If this flight is a success, a quartet of astronauts will travel on the next mission, Artemis 2. So I don't need to get into any more of this. It talks about all the different missions and stuff. The Artemis 1 mission is going to depart from Earth. Then it's going to travel to the moon and orbit the moon, and then it will return to the Earth. And then we'll get into like landing people on apparently the south pole of the moon. I'm not sure why they chose the south side of the moon for that, but there's got to be something there. It says about 1.5 hours after launch, the second stage fires again for about 18 minutes in what is called translunar injections. That is, the second stage will push Orion on a course to the moon. After the engine burn, Orion will separate from the second stage. On day 6, Orion will begin its orbit of the moon. On day 24, Orion will leave the distant retrograde orbit and start the return trip to Earth. If Artemis 1 launches Monday, splashdown will be on October 10th, ending a 42-day mission. So that's what we know about this. It's probably not going to like actually happen, but we're going to get really good CGI video of it. So I guess my question for you in all of this is what's more likely scenario? Is it more likely that NASA actually sends people to the moon, without fucking it up, first of all? Second of all, do they actually do? Is it more likely that NASA actually pulls this off? Or is it more likely that Apple TV Plus makes money off of Hillary and Chelsea Clinton's TV show? Because I'm going to have to stretch, even though I don't believe that NASA probably uses its money for what it says it does, and I don't particularly believe that we're going to send anybody to the moon. I think there's a much fucking better chance that that mission is more successful than Hillary and Chelsea Clinton's show on Apple TV Plus. So that's my prediction for all of this. So you let me know. The comment section's open. What do you think? Do you think the moon landing happens, or do you think which happens first? The success of Hillary Clinton TV show, or a moon landing by actual real people, not a CGI video? The comment section's always open, like I said. You can join us on the Facebook forum, the Breaking the Bell forum, or you can follow me on Twitter at Break the Bell Pod, because that's where I like to hang out and talk the most shit, is on Twitter. So let me know what you think. What's a more likely scenario here? That's all the time I got for this week. Again, make sure you check us out tomorrow night for that main episode where we are having the great Remzo Martinez of the On the Run podcast to talk about making money, to talk about the freaking loan forgiveness, the student loan forgiveness, and to talk about the state of the economy right now and how we can survive through this. And then whatever else we want to freaking talk about, because nothing stays on the rails with Remzo Martinez. So make sure you check that out tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be a freaking blast. Otherwise, join us again for Two Scoops. Me and my brother, Dan Smots of the System is Down podcast, Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 7 a.m. when we feel like it. Share this all over social media. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so we can build our YouTube channel back to where it was getting nuked off of YouTube about 4 or 5 months ago. So make sure you like and subscribe and share the shit all over the place. Otherwise, I guess join us tomorrow. Have a great rest of your weekend, the last couple hours that you have. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back, because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.